Why? Because it's my birthday and I want it.
January 3rd, 1892. Professor J.R.R. Tolkien is born. Of course, he wasn't quite a professor yet. He wasn't that good. He didn't just come out of the womb with a professorship, as it were. But as you can imagine, fans around the world, yours truly included, posted on various social media accounts and podcasts were done and the like to celebrate the special day of the professor's birth, giving us the modern fantasy bedrock and allowing us to build off of an incredible legacy. The Melonheads Lord of the Ring podcast took up this opportunity to share their warm wishes for the professor as well. Makes sense, as they are a Lord of the Ring podcast account. And they said, happy 130th birthday to the legend that started it all, J.R.R. Tolkien. And they gave a little party popper at the end there. And you've got this nice professional photo of the professor sitting in front of a window. I'm sure they found it on Google or Bing or DuckDuckGo or whatever search engine they decided to use. Nothing to ruffle up any feathers, nothing to cause any alarm. It is, after all, just a happy birthday post. Well, the Tolkien Society...
Today I'd like to consider fan fiction about Tolkien's world, the history of this vast community, and how it is used and not used storytelling to address issues of representation and diversity in Middle-earth. To begin, what is fan fiction? I could devote a 20-minute paper to the finer points of the debate around the definition of a term that for most of us can probably be summed up along the lines of Justice Potter Stewart's definition of pornography. You know it when you see it.
Yep, that Tolkien Society. Well, they were more than a little displeased with this post for a particular reason. And when we scroll down in the thread, you can... Oh, hang on. Wait, what? Oh no, they've deleted the tweets? I guess that means there's no way for me to show you what they said. I'm just kidding. We all know the internet is forever. So are screenshots. Daya. And just like that, the Elvish word for appear gives us what we are looking for. So, what is it that the Tolkien Society said? Well, they asked a question. And it said, do you have permission to use that image? And several fans were confused, myself included, as, like I said before, it's likely that the Melonheads simply found this somewhere on the internet, as pictures are wont to do, just wind up in odd places. And so you can imagine some folks went digging. They were asking such hard-hitting questions like, why do they need permission to pay tribute to a historical and beloved person? I found this picture on several sites. Was it supposed to be kept as a secret? Tolkien Society, not reading the room, says, would you be able to provide us with those sites as well, please? Now it's getting really weird. Confusion, but also curiosity? As it turns out, we wouldn't have to wait very long for an answer. In response to requesting the list of sites with this photo on it, another Twitter user shot back and said, use Google like the rest of us peons do. Didn't know you were the J.R.R. police. This is a huge world and the internet is a big place. Protecting one photo of a loved figure will take a lifetime. Is it copyrighted? Please show us that. Valid question. Also, yes, the world is huge. The internet is even bigger. It would be 10 lifetimes trying to protect this one photo. Tolkien Society responds, it's our photo and we own the copyright, which we bought for £18,000 at auction. Maybe it wasn't said that snarky, but that's how just about everybody read it in their heads. And then the internet did what it does best. It trolled the ever-lovin' out of the Tolkien Society. Just constant reposting of the picture, letting them know that this is a great picture. This is a fantastic picture. Here's a backup. That'll be $18,000, please. Actually, 18,000 pounds. Oh my goodness. And what was Tolkien Society's response? Well, they decided to private their entire account with 96,000 plus followers on it and say that it was for the protection of mental health because they are staffed by volunteers, including the ones who run social media account for them. And that when Melonheads used the photo of Tolkien that they had recently purchased, their social media volunteer innocently, but all too rapidly with an element of brusqueness, that is a tactful way of saying they were being a bitch, asked if they had permission to use it. That wasn't intended to be antagonistic. Okay. Unlikely. You would not have deleted the tweets and privated your account if you weren't coming in hot, as they say. Some people do have permission to use the image, which was partly why the society bought it. But we understandably want that image to come with appropriate attribution, which it didn't have. We were not seeking money or a takedown. Shouldn't that be Nor? There is now a pile-on both the society and its chair over a fairly trivial misunderstanding, which is why this account has been restricted. We are a volunteer-run organization, and volunteers should not have to see the tweets they are seeing. Okay. The tweets that are being shown are literally the ones that I showed you. They're reposting the picture and, they're just sort of mocking the absolute, as their own account said, brusqueness of whoever the volunteer was that decided to post the response to Melonheads. Now, hindsight is 2020, and it is an advantage that I have. However, I think anybody who has been around the internet for longer than an hour can tell you that you can't take yourself too seriously. You can't. You have to learn to laugh at yourself, Tolkien Society. There were a million different ways you could have approached this. And if this truly was not meant to be an antagonistic approach, then it could have been something as simple as, hey, great picture, and so glad to see you celebrating the professor's birthday. Since you're a Lord of the Rings podcast, it might interest you to know that the Tolkien Society just bought the rights to this photo for 18,000 pounds at auction. Love to talk more about it with you, and if you love this photo and all things Lord of the Rings and Tolkien, then the Tolkien Society might be something you'd be interested in. And then you could have had a conversation from there. But you didn't. You just came, do you have permission to use this photo? And again, it doesn't matter if it was said or intended to have an air of superiority or condemnation behind it. It was interpreted that way by pretty much everybody who read the tweet, that you took yourselves way too seriously. And technically speaking, you own the negatives to the photo. You do not own the photos that have already been created or processed. From here on out, any new photos made from the negatives, I'm not entirely sure, I'd have to look closer. But since you own the negatives, then yes, you do have a technical right to it. But possession is 9/10 of the law, and the internet is vast. This picture is going to be everywhere. And like I said before, it would take you 10,000 lifetimes to try and track down every single one, watermark them, or get attribution for them, or whatever it is that you're seeking. Could have just laughed it off and handled this in a much lighter tone and celebrated the professor and his birth and been excited that fans are still involved, still getting involved, even ones who aren't member of your society. And instead you ended up deleting tweets, multiple tweets, and it got even worse because you have this individual here, Morgan's Motoring Madness, I hope I said that right, said that, you're going the way of Nintendo, more Sony, and then says, careful, a Pinkerton may be at your door shortly to break your kneecaps. Obviously, not literally. And the Tolkien Society's response is, it's not unreasonable to accept some attribution. That's hardly the same thing. Now, she has responded. This account has responded, and they did 2 replies, and then the Tolkien Society replied again, but they deleted that one as well. Now, we'll read this response to give you kind of an idea of what the tweet said, and then I'm going to show it to you. The response to the tweet was, I think they expect you to preserve, not to claim ownership of something you had no hand in creating. Daya, yes, it is her choice whether or not to become a society member. But for you to actively push a potential member away over, as you called it, misunderstanding, it's not very good business practice. That's not how you draw people in. And while your established members obviously appreciated it, hence your Twitter feed earlier, you're not protecting anything by not allowing people to use pre-existing photos. It's not how it works. And you're not defending the members, you're now defending your argument. It's simply that there was a much better way to handle this, and I would think that an account with over 96,000 followers would be much more cautious about what it is that they post or how they interact with other accounts, because it doesn't matter how big you are. It doesn't. As long as you're authentic and you stay true to whatever it is that you were gunning for or who you are as a person or an organization, you'll be fine. But sometimes when that authenticity sneaks out, when you've been pretending to be something that you're not and you've been trying to convince people that you're something that you're not, then it turns people off. And I don't think that that's what you want to do. Granted, I'm not your biggest fan, but this was a situation that you could have handled much better and come out on top. And instead, rather than making it about the professor's birthday and enjoying and celebrating him, you made it about yourselves. So that's all I really have. If you guys are looking for some very good Tolkien content, I recommend theonering.com as well as the Society of Tolkien. It is a separate organization from the Tolkien Society. They just had their second seminar event this past October. They are brand new in response to what the Tolkien Society had been doing over the summer and fall with their seminars and the interpretations that they were allowing for Tolkien's works. So I strongly recommend you go check out theonering.com and the Society of Tolkien. Men of the West on YouTube is an excellent resource as well for all things Lord of the Rings. And of course, Nerdrotic and Just Some Guy are fantastic as well. Odin's movie blog, I think it's actually the OMB reviews now. Sorry, Odin. Has some great stuff going on as well. Josiah Rises whenever he makes it back round. Bounding has got some really great stuff going on between their YouTube channel and their website and their Twitter and their other social media. They have great articles, always on point. So, there's so much great content out there. Some really great people doing incredible stuff. Go check them all out. I appreciate every single one of you. Much love. Take care and Godspeed.